Our story today took place in Tunisia, narrated by a mosque imam named Sheikh Abdul Majid Al Baghdadi. The sheikh said that this incident was the strangest he had ever experienced with the jinn, even though he had encountered them many times before. The story spread among people and was even mentioned in some Tunisian newspapers, especially after Sheikh Al Baghdadi's mysterious death. It all began when Sheikh Al Baghdadi, along with his friend, another imam named Sheikh Mohammed Al Juraidi, was invited to an old house in the historic city of Al Mahdiya in Tunisia. The owners wanted the Quran to be recited there because of the many strange occurrences happening inside. The house was extremely old, on the verge of collapse, and its residents were very poor. A widowed woman and her 2 sons. The eldest son had gone insane after disappearing for 2 whole years in a cellar in a nearby area called Al-Duwami. When he returned, he had lost his mind and suffered from seizures. Since then, paranormal events began to plague their home. The widow told the sheikh that she often saw strange figures suddenly appear inside the house and heard eerie noises from the ground and walls. Many times, they found hair and filth mixed into their food. She, her sons, and even some neighbors had seen people walking with no legs, only their upper halves visible. Sheikh Al Baghdadi noticed that the younger son was missing a tooth. When he asked about it, the boy told a bizarre story. He was praying in one of the rooms, and upon leaving, he found a terrifying black cat with its head twisted unnaturally in the opposite direction, as if dead. He struck it with a stick to be sure, but the cat leapt at him, spoke in a strange tongue, then ran into the kitchen and vanished. That night, the boy dreamt of a tall, dark-skinned sheikh with abnormally long arms carrying a staff. The figure scolded him, saying, "Why did you strike me while I was asleep?" The boy awoke to find his tooth broken and blood flowing from his mouth. On another occasion, he heard violent knocking at the door and someone calling his name. Each time he opened, no one was there. Eventually, he discovered the sound came from his wardrobe. When the door creaked open, a hideous creature emerged, bald, frail, crawling on all fours, with eyes glowing like a serpent's, and nothing covering its nakedness except hair wrapped around its waist. The creature approached him, then left, while the boy stood frozen in terror. Sheikh Al Baghdadi and Sheikh Al Juraidi decided to begin reciting the Quran in the house. As soon as they started, the electricity cut out and they heard footsteps around them. When the lights returned, they found footprints smeared with filth on the ceiling. The same thing happened every time they recited. One night, they asked the widow to stay at the neighbor's house with her eldest son, but not to leave the younger boy behind. As they continued reciting, the boy suddenly fainted and vomited strands of hair. The situation dragged on for many days without improvement. Once, the mother went into the bathroom. Shortly after, they heard knocking at the front door. When they opened it, the mother was standing outside. So who was inside the bathroom? On another day, Sheikh Al Baghdadi dozed off. When he awoke, he found himself alone in the house at night. He heard whispers all around and saw figures peeking at him from rooms, only to vanish when he entered. Terrified, he fled. The next day, Sheikh Al Juraidi denied leaving him alone, saying he had left first. The widow also swore that she had only seen her younger son in the house that night. The events continued until both sheikhs dreamt of a narrow, dark cellar near the house. When they told the widow, she described it as the very cellar her eldest son had entered before vanishing for 2 years. They decided to descend into it. After dawn, they entered the cellar with only a faint lantern. They walked for about 10 minutes before suddenly finding themselves in a dark desert instead of daylight. The cellar's entrance had vanished, and before them stood mud houses spewing fire. Each time they tried to approach, the houses retreated. Finally, they reached them and found a gathering of naked figures dancing around flames, figures that cast no shadow and left no footprints. A strange-looking man approached and ordered them to sit. Sheikh Al Baghdadi uttered, "Bismillah," in the name of God, and at once they found themselves sitting on a rock in a desolate place, the houses gone. Then a massive man appeared riding a black camel so heavy it almost collapsed under him. On his head was a wooden crown crawling with insects. In a deep, heavy voice he said, "Why have you come here? This place is forbidden to mankind." They explained the situation, to which he replied, "The boy has a blood feud, and his house belongs to us. Leave now, and do not look back, or you will regret it." On their way back, they saw two creatures with human heads and dog bodies digging until the cellar's exit appeared. Sheikh Al Baghdadi climbed out first, but Sheikh Al Juraidi suddenly heard his mother's voice calling him. He turned toward it, screamed, and fell silent. Al Baghdadi, too afraid to look back, escaped alone. Sheikh Al Juraidi was never seen again, and the cellar vanished as though it never existed. Later, the house was demolished, and in its place, a mosque was built named Masjid Muhammad Al Juraidi in memory of the missing sheikh. The widow and her sons were given a new home, but shockingly, months later, Sheikh Al Baghdadi was found dead in his home, his head eaten by ants and his limbs severed from his bod.